I feel like if I can find a young and upcoming artist that's actually like hit on something, their own like something they do differently, their own sort of style, you know what I mean? Their own something that they've locked onto, and it resonates with a bunch of people and it resonates with me, then I find that buying their art isn't such a big risk for me. You know, it's going to appreciate.
Sometimes I'll paint over it completely, So like the show that I had now, 99 Loop, like 3 of those paintings, the big ones, were like all completely just changed over. Like they were all something else different underneath for like months.
Hectic.
Months and months there was something else underneath them, and I just wasn't working, so I just said fuck no.
So how different were they? Like
a different image completely.
That's super cool.
I
love that. I love the idea of buying something and it was something else before.
There was like
a different layer, you know?
Yeah.
Basically, just to paint a picture of where we are, like for the listener.
Oh, yeah.
Like we're in like downtown Woodstock, but like taxis driving up and down, and we're sitting in a room now in Paul's studio, shared studio space, but no one's here. It's just us, and there's paintings all around us, and there's like books and like Prit and like just frames and paintings and paint everywhere, and cut like scissors and cut out like pieces of magazine, and you know the table's like full of like
full of paint,
full of like aged like very matured paint tubes, you know. And
all around.
Yeah, and me and Paul is exactly the same age. We both got like leopard print glasses on. We both got black t-shirts on. And the only thing different is that he's got hair and I don't.
The ball man, dude.
Cool. So, like, how have you found like exhibiting and like selling paintings during COVID? Like, what's your experience? Has it like gone? Have sales been good, or you know, what's the?
Yeah, so I only pretty much know, because I finished 2019, so I only pretty much know selling paintings with kind of COVID, because I sold, I guess, like some in the grad show, but then 2020, you know, it hit.
Yeah.
And then I was like, and then I had that show in like middle of June last year, and I was June, July, don't know what it was. So then I just.
So you have no data points from before.
No,
yeah.
It's been okay. Yeah, the first show was okay, and then but the second show's definitely been better, and like I think different buyers and stuff like that. Yeah.
Have you heard that people are selling more like after the pandemic?
I have no idea.
That's what I've heard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it? Yeah. Yeah, it seems like some people do well, and then some. Yeah, it seems like maybe there's like a. It's always like up. I guess it's just like, you know, it's like, oh, okay, then like people might invest. Maybe like older art, more established artists are struggling more, and then maybe younger artists are like selling quite a lot now. I don't know.
Yeah, that's interesting. People are definitely more keen to buy online. You know, it's been, you know.
Yeah, the gallery that 99 Loop gallery, the guy says he actually has most of his sales through online.
Yeah,
which is interesting.
Yeah, I mean it's much more efficient and stuff, but still, I don't think I would, like, if I was buying. This brings up the split between, like, how much are you buying for, you know, as an investment, how much are you buying just for. How much are you buying just for?
Because you like it.
Because you like it in your house, you know. And if you're buying for an investment, then you're more likely to buy online.
Yeah.
Because you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And I think probably
No. I'm saying I think most serious art buyers are like, it's like often an investment. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I don't know. Yeah.
What do you think? So for everyone it's different. The split is, I've talked about this one before, and you know, listeners will be like, oh, I was talking about that again. But there's a split. You know, like, is it 60-40? Is it 50-50? Is it 90-10? You know, are you just buying for investment and you kind of like the picture? You know, or are you buying mainly because you like the picture? You know, and you want it in your life rather than are you buying for, you know, profit? But if I was buying mostly for so were I buying mostly for enjoyment, I would definitely want to see it in person.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, things are, you know, like, very different.
I assume most people that are avid buyers kind of buy from invest. It's like kind of like if you're interested in art and you have money, I guess you buy, and you're interested in like art and, I don't know, investing, then you would just drift towards this more. Like other people would invest in like smaller startups and, you know.
Yeah.
What we discussed actually before, just like small, like startups and other kind of stuff. I don't know. People that are just more that just kind of like art, I guess, will invest in art more.
Yeah, it's really good to diversify into it, you know.
Yeah.
And as far as I'm concerned, it's like a lot less risky than investing in a startup. Investing
Is it? Yeah.
in a startup will have a bigger ticket price generally.
Okay.
You know, obviously, I mean,
Yeah.
you know, but you know, you can get that outsized reward if it becomes the next Google or Facebook or
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
Coinbase or.
Shit, I don't know anything about investing.
But the chances of that happening are very, very slim.
Yeah.
And if the founder that you invested in is not a superstar, it's not going to happen. Basically,
Yeah.
you know. But with art, it's a lot like the rewards are a lot less. You know, an artwork's not going to be worth billions of dollars. Like,
Yeah.
you know, $200 billion, like, you know, like Google or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, that was a long time ago, but it's worth much more now. But my point is that there's a lot less reward, but there's a lot less risk as well. Like, I feel like if I can find a young and upcoming artist that's actually like hit on something, their own like something they do differently, their own sort of style. You know what I mean? Their own something that they've locked onto. And it resonates with a bunch of people and it resonates with me, then I find that buying their art isn't such a big risk for me. You know, it's going to appreciate, you know.
Yeah. I still think, I guess it's some kind of like thrill, or I don't know, but it's like almost like buying local, you know what I mean? It's like oh, I'd rather maybe spend a little bit more money and then like pay from this shop just because you know, like it's like the guy from down the road.
That's another aspect. Like that is super rewarding. Like, because just picture yourself with all the money in the world, or all the money that you would ever need or want. Picture that. To actually make money and to help someone, like help someone that you believe in, whose art you like, would be quite an awesome like self-actualization at the top of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs kind of thing. You know? So once you know all those other things are taken care of, like that added, like it would be really cool to support someone you know and someone you believe in and someone you think deserves to make more art, because what you are actually doing is giving an artist working capital to make more art. That's literally what you're doing.
I always got
like
this.
That artist that you pay like the money for, like for you it's like I'm buying a piece of art. It's like, you know, quite a sort of like a glamorous thing to do, but that artist is going to spend that money on petrol and spend that money on food and spend that money on art supplies to make frames, like to make more art. So that's really cool, you know.
I always got this. It's like sort of a joke, but I guess I don't know. It's like I always say to like I mainly say to my friends that I've like bought some of my stuff. I always go like, you have to fulfill the prophecy now. So it's like once you, because it's like you bought one thing and I'm like, well, now you gotta. What's the point of? You know, you've kind of you've passed dipping your toe in, you know what I mean? Now you kind of just a bit weird. Now you got to just kind of you have to carry on doing it. It's kind of like once you're in almost.
So let's talk about your process. Like you say you make your own frames.
Yeah, so I learned that at Michaela's with there's a guy at Michaela's called Stanley, and it's like the woodworks. Yeah, and he supervises like all the like if you need to have anything like that's framed, or if you need to make any, like he helps with like sculptures and like some guys make like instruments and stuff and for their artworks, and he has to like does all the stuff in like his his wood workshop on the top level of
hanging pieces with, you know.
Yeah, anything like if you got to carve something like intricate, or you know, he's like the guy. And then I remember learning with you would just teach me how to make frames, and when I was obviously like second, third year, fourth year, I just started learning, getting better and better. And then when I left, I got like the much worse equipment of what he had.
But do you find that that's like a good productive use of your time?
No, it's horrible. I hate it. But it's like the most. Just makes the most sense. I hate making frames.
Oh, okay. It's just for like financial reasons.
Like, yeah.
Okay, because it's much cheaper than buying frames. Like frames are like $1,500. Like. Yeah.
Because some of these frames that cost like, you know, like I don't know, they can cost like over 1,000 easy, and I spend I spend about like, well, I obviously buy like a huge thing of like primer. I guess the wood and the canvas. I don't know. It is much cheaper though, but it's just a lot more time. Cleaning up, and like I said, like my studio now is in like, so I'm like painting mode now, because I made like a bunch of frames after the exhibition. So then now it's like really like images are everywhere, all this kind of stuff. But then it gets to a point where I got to change that all up and then like make frames again.
And
then it becomes like really like wood woodworking.
But do you think it would, if you had bought all your frames, would it mess with your mind? Would it allow you to, like making your own frames kind of allows you to be like, I don't really care. I'm going to be experimental. I'm going to just let it hang out like while I'm painting.
Oh.
Or do you think that makes any difference?
Funny enough, I spoke to another artist and he was saying he just buys all these small frames from Decollage. And I was like, because I would always put so much, I would get actually quite nervous because I'd be like, oh fuck, I've only got like 3 paintings left and I don't want to like
screw it up. Yeah.
So then I become more and more precious, which was horrible.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
Precious, yeah. So then I would I do buy like, I'll buy like a bunch of small ones and then I'll make the bigger ones. So that's what I started doing now.
Awesome. That makes sense.
Yeah, because the bigger ones, the price goes up like kind of crazy. Yeah.
So do you find that you have to like curate your mind, like keep it in a certain like mind space in order to do certain types of like paintings or to do paintings in general? Like, do you have to like,
like get in a certain headspace or something?
Yeah. Do you find like you make better art or you're more productive, or a difference between when like your life is like perfect, like you've paid all your bills, like you got no debt, like you've like your emails are up to date or something like that. You know what I mean? Like and then you can make art, or do you feel like it's better to just make art when like your life's in turmoil, or when you're like feeling something emotional,
I guess if you're too anxious, it sucks because it can kind of cripple you sometimes. If you're thinking too much about stuff. I read this interview with this other guy called this painter, and he was saying that when he goes into the studio, he like shuts off his phone. He says like he goes to like war with like the painting, and I was like interesting. I was like, oh shit, he just like goes in and like closes off everything, like old school kind of vibe. But I don't normally do that. It definitely helps if things aren't like, if I'm thinking too much about stuff. Like often I actually put my phone on like do not disturb mode or something like that. So that I just don't get messages constantly through.
But I mean, like, do you harness like positive or negative emotions, or are you better doing it sort of cerebrally when your life is like sorted?
I think getting sorted is, I mean, I just come in every day, I guess, and whatever happens. I don't know. I kind of just treat it like it's more just like endurance than anything else. I feel with art.
Pitching up. Yeah.
Mostly it's just endurance. Like I think that's the more stuff I read and the more I listen to other artists, it's just more about it's like eating shit a lot of the time. Just just lots of endurance. Yeah.
So do you like feel like you start something and you hate it, and you need to continue and push through?
Oh fuck! I hate a lot of stuff. Yeah, I hate lots of the stuff I do. You always just it's like normal.
Well, that's what I've found with like songwriting. I mean, I can draw like some trees and stuff, but I can hardly, do anything visual drawing. But I can write like songs, like a pop song.
Okay.
I was quite into that at one point, because a really good pop song can sort of cross boundaries or cross genres and cross or different orchestrations. So like if you take a Britney Spears song and give it to a heavy metal band, like okay, maybe not that, but if you give a Britney Spears song to a funk, like really like, I don't know, for instance, like Dirty Loops did it. They took like really pop songs and then made them like really, really intense academic jazz and funk, like, with excellent like instrumental capability.
Okay.
And like the good song, like the intro, like the hook, the pre-chorus, the chorus, like blah blah blah. It like that structure like can be you can use any instrumentation or any sort of genre, and it will still, like, that good song will bleed through whatever style you've put on.
Yeah.
So no matter who sings it or no matter who plays it, it's still. Anyway, so I was interested in that, and I just ended up hating my songs. Like, I just ended up hating everything I made.
Yeah. I think Kintrich had that thing. It was like the center for the less good idea, because he said that it's like something he does. That's like I actually don't know what it is. It's like some program I think he has, but it's called the Center for the Less Good Idea, because he's always like the less good idea is the idea you should follow often, or like the idea that holds more merit, because it's the idea. I actually forgot what he said about it, but it was just an interesting concept.
Like pushing your boundaries.
Yeah. So this I don't know, like following all these little, like almost like a roots of a tree, almost just following all these little possibilities always. I don't know, and going down those and making those. It's mainly about it's never about the idea. It's always often it's just about like the work. That sounds weird, but it's often just, it's like the, I guess that's why, fuck yeah, I'm not finishing sentences.
That's super interesting.
But it's something I guess Michaela's does, because they have like a degree, and in like Germany, for instance, they have like diplomas, but it's 5 years. So the difference between like a degree and a diploma is the writing that you do. So it's in Germany, it's just like painting. Often they're just like painting all the time. They don't actually do much writing at all. But like I think the works can be more interesting because they're not so thought out. I don't know. They're not so.
Yeah.
They're not so
tortured.
But also they're not so. They don't rely so much on like on the idea, I guess, of it. They're just, it's like doing the work. The actual doing of the work is the most important thing.
Yeah, and
rather than the idea of the work.
Okay.
So that's, I guess that's a similar thing
like,
about that sense of a less good idea. It's often just like the doing of the work, which is the most important thing. It's like coming in every day and then doing lots of bad paintings.
Yeah, exactly.
Just keep on doing lots and lots of bad paintings, and eventually you have a good painting in there.
Yeah, exactly. A analogy that's helpful and that I've probably brought up on this podcast already now is Bob Dylan wrote 500 songs.
Oh,
and
yeah,
most of them are crap.
Oh yeah.
But 6 of them are amazing.
Yeah, cities, yeah.
6 of them are world-changing, amazing hits. You know what I mean? They, like the voice of a revolution kind of thing, or a different way of thinking.
There was a good. Yeah, I mean, just funny enough. Sorry, on that note, there was a. Did you listen to that Malcolm Gladwell one? The podcast about
Bob Dylan.
It was actually about like Picasso and like Cezanne, I think. Picasso and I don't know. Something else. And then it was like, then you compare Bob Dylan to Leonard Cohen.
Okay.
And how Leonard Cohen always went back to songs for like years and years, and then kept on refining over and over again. And then Bob Dylan would just like thrash them out in like 3 minutes.
Exactly, and get it done. And I kind of wish I had more of that. Just do the thing, and then because every time because if you write 100 songs and then you never get past the second chorus, you're never gonna know how to finish a song.
Yeah.
So if you it's the same with painting.
You just gotta do a lot of stuff. Yeah, I don't know. You just see what works.
Yeah, instead of another analogy is like gardening versus architecture. Like an architect will plan out his whole painting or sketch it all in pencil first or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And plan exactly like the meaning behind it, and plan like the undertones or the things that it will bring up, elicit in the viewer. Whereas the gardener would just be like, I'm going to start with like some lawn here.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to start with like
something like that there, yeah.
Some mountain. I'm looking at the picture behind you. That mountain on that picture has been completely burnt now. You know that?
Oh, yeah. Fuck, yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, gardener will like start off. It's the same thing in novels as well.
Yeah, much more intuitive, I guess, yeah.
Like novels as well. Like you can plan out exactly what happens, exactly.
Yeah.
The progression of every character's arc, but then also you can just garden a bit and see where it takes you,
Yeah.
And let that character develop by himself or by herself.
Yeah, so I think people are like, I'm drawn more towards like artists and like writers and stuff like that are often more, you kind of just, you just start doing it, I guess, and you just see what happens as it takes you along. And then you go back afterwards, like you go back and refine and stuff, like always the next day I'll come in and I'm like, oh fuck, this painting shit, like you'll feel like, oh sweet, it's good. Like I often actually have this anxiety if my painting is good, if I feel like it's good while I'm doing it.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, ooh, this is not. I was like, ooh, because I'm gonna come in the next day and hate it like so much.
Yeah.
And then I'll come back. Yeah, obviously the next day, I'll be like, fuck, or like the next week I'll be like, oh my god. Because like there's people like sometimes if I'm like struggling with the painting, I'll just literally just turn it around against the wall for like weeks, and just be like, no, I mustn't look at it again. You know what I mean? Or because you just get way too close to it. Yeah,
there's so much emotional valence to your work, whereas in other things like accounting and being a coder or something, like you don't have like your work doesn't have emotional valence. It's not like, oh my word, awesome, or oh my word, I hate this,
Yeah.
Like it's done and you finished, or like also with paintings, like when are you done, That's like a question that I asked Swain as well. Like, when are you done with a painting? Like, when is a painting done?
Yeah, I don't know. I often ask my friends. I often ask what I should do. That's why I guess it was quite nice in Michaela's. I often had a lecturer come in and just once a week, my supervisor, and she would say what's working, what's not working, what's she feeling, because obviously she's always fresh eyes. And often I had lots of friends always coming in and out, and they would often give me also advice. Sometimes more and more I'm starting to like learn, like to trust myself more. So more and more I'm starting to be like, okay, this is done, or like, oh, I think this is more done, and then I think that, and then the longer it stays in my studio, the more likely it's gonna change. The more likely I'll be like, no, this must
gotta get it out quickly.
Sometimes I'll paint over it completely, yeah. So like the show that I had now, 99 Loop, like 3 of those paintings, the big ones, were like all completely just changed over. Like they were all something else different underneath for like months.
Hectic.
Months and months there was something else underneath them, and I just wasn't working, so I just said fuck no.
So how different were they? Like
a different image completely.
That's super cool.
I
love that.
Yeah.
I love the idea of buying something and it was something else before.
Yeah, no, that was like
a different layer, you know?
Yeah. I mean, each time you kind of start painting again as well. I mean, even if it's like you're carrying on the same image, you're like constantly changing it with like each, especially if it's like I'm quite I guess like an intense painter sometimes. So I'm often like, or like I use like a lot of paint, and I'm like I try not to be like too careful with things. So I try to be more like no, I mustn't I mustn't put so much emphasis on this, because if I feel too precious, then I get like anxious about it. I'm like, oh fuck, and then I don't want to touch it anymore because I think it's good and I've done something good. So often I'll just push past that, which I guess is, I don't know if that's naive or if that's I'm maturing. I don't know. Maybe when I'm older, I'll realize that I need to stop at those parts.
Yeah, I've talked to people, and they say like, you know, it's really freeing to get to that point where you can totally trust yourself. Well, not totally, but you can trust like this is done now, or
oh god, yeah, no, not there yet.
Yeah, but I mean, it takes ages, I think, you know, and sometimes that doesn't come, you know.
No, I'm always skeptical of what I. Obviously, I'm obviously like maybe being a bit more hard on myself, but there's obviously I like certain things and I'll carry on with certain things. And if I'm drawn to stuff, like right now I'm drawn to these portraits a lot, I've been doing, and so I'm just carrying on doing them, kind of regardless of what I think or other people think now. Yeah. And just kind of carrying them on. Yeah. Because I don't know, I like the feeling of doing them, and I just like the process of doing them, and kind of like I'm liking the results more and more. They seem quite interesting.
So, you know, what I like about your work is it's quite dark, you know. It's very sort of out there in that it's, you know, it's clearly representing like not just, you know, happiness and rainbows and sunshine, and, you know, what's that about? I mean, what drew you to like the darkness, you know, like from mutilated faces and this kind of thing?
I don't know, mainly it's always kind of always boils down to like a couple artists I was just interested in when I was younger, mainly just like Francis Bacon is the main one still.
Oh yeah, and
big plague in my life.
A plague.
Yeah, big.
Can't get away, huh?
No, never. It's fucked up. But I have conversations with other artists, and they're like, "Watch out for Bacon." I'm always like, "I know."
But like,
because he's just too big. He's just too.
Yeah.
It's like he did it so well, and he just did it so. I don't know. It did it so complete. Just like, everything about those paintings are just so like a crazy, like weird. Like this crazy like nightmare kind of around these things are always in, like there's this horrible like openness often, and there's like this and these like weird lines always coming in the room, but then at the same time it's like it's just so like painterly, you know, you can see the paint like so like it's so visceral, the paint, I don't know, so you're so aware of it's a painting, but then at the same time you're like fuck, it's like I don't know, you just feel so uncomfortable, and it's like it's like the most effective. Like they're like that's like the most effective paintings. I don't know. I just think I've seen them. Just always like wow.
So they sort of grab you and, you know, resonate with you more than sort of just, you know, something more platitudinous, as in, you know, like I don't know.
What do you mean? Like the
subject matter grabs you and like turns something inside you, rather than just painting something that's much more sort of happy, you know.
Yeah, less didactic,
bland.
I guess, and stuff. It's just a lot more like, I always imagine, I mean, I don't know, but I always imagine that it's just a lot more like intuitive based as well. He's just like painting just what he feels, or he's just painting people that he he's just, and he's just, I guess going through the motions. I don't know, like his work is very much connected to like his studio, his life, all these kind of things. Like people that, if you get into like Francis Bacon, there's always like books in his studio, always books on who he was as a person, you know what I mean? Like he was like, this crazy drunk, like often get beat up by his boyfriends and like
Hectic,
get stitched up without any anesthetic because he was like a masochist.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like just like a wild guy.
Yeah.
And just.
So you don't follow in his footsteps? And
No, fuck no. I don't. I'm not a masochist or anything like that. But like a very unstable life. But like his paintings are just, I guess what I'm trying to say is they're not like didactic at all. They're not based on like Kentridge, for instance. It's like very much like, you can write a whole fucking essay on one of his works. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Well, Bacon is like much more.
Just visceral, do it, you know.
Yeah, like I even went to the Georgina Gatrix exhibition at the Norval yesterday, and that was really interesting just to see as well, like just like portraits of like people that she knew and like her family and stuff like that, and just it seems like really like it's really intuitive. I don't know, she's just in there just like painting, just been like playing around with paint for like years and years and years, and just like getting better and better at it, like
more from the gut and more like visceral rather than cerebral.
Yeah, and I think I like that.
Your stuff is major Goya vibes.
Yeah. So, and obviously I always go down with every artist. I don't know. I think other people do it. I'm sure they do. But it's like, always get obsessed with like a certain artist at some point, and I'll just go down like these massive like kind of rabbit holes into like their life. Like Francis Bacon's always been a big one, and Goya was also a huge one when I was in fourth year. In third year and fourth year, I got like really obsessed with Goya. I often get like, not embarrassed, but I'm often like, oh fuck, like this is too Bacon, or this is too Goya, like this is. I'm like, oh fuck, no, I can't do this.
Everything's been done before.
I know, nothing's original, but it's often like if you're not referencing it in almost like a self-aware way,
then you're too naive. Yeah,
then you're just trying to almost copy, and it's like this really like weird fine line, and just more and more I'm trying to like not think like
just
not think of that kind of stuff, and just like go in it just like fresh, or
exactly, because if 10 people look at your, let's increase this, if 20 people look at your picture, like one of them is going to be like, the art critic that goes like, oh, he's so naive in copying someone else's style and whatever, but 19 people are going to go, oh my gosh, that's awesome, so like
it's always tough, I guess. I don't know, I just don't want to be copying that style, but also I don't want to be, but I'm just obviously still so influenced by it.
I think like go for it and just let your own style bleed through, you know what I mean? Eventually that'll happen, like it'll.
You shouldn't want any water or anything.
Should we grab a tea or something?
Yeah, do you want a tea?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
So now, me and Paul are infinitely cooler now because we've got cigarettes and coffee.
So what are we talking about?
What were we talking about? Oh yeah, I've got a couple of two more little questions.
Sure.
So like, could you try and explain the like the discomfort like a new artist feels when they try and put themselves out there for the first time, kind of thing, like your first exhibition, kind of thing.
Are you talking about like even before, like at the moment you like leave Michaela's or something like that?
Yeah, I'm talking about like your first exhibition, when you first sort of say to yourself and the world, I'm an artist now, and you try to like, try to be someone like you.
Oh yeah.
Coming out as an artist.
Yeah, I think I don't know. For me, the anxiety, because I studied it before, so it's a little bit older than some of my classmates. But like the anxiety was like always like really mounting at Michaela's. Like I was like always like fuck, like just trying to put like like a lot of hours and stuff. I don't know, just because if I'm gonna invest in this, I may as well just invest in this like properly 100% and just like try and treat it like a everyday, like just go. The most daunting thing for me was always like the mental thing. Really was like myself. Yeah.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Not. It kind of started at Michaelis, I guess.
Was there a moment where you felt like, okay, I'm an artist now, I can take myself seriously?
I guess when more people, it's horrible. It sounds like so like shallow, but when some people like start buying your work, you start feeling like
no, it's not. That's not shallow at all.
Yeah,
like,
yeah. No, I
like,
know, but it should be like a more like.
No. Like if people buy your work, that means you can be an artist, which means that you make money through art.
Practicing artist. Yeah.
So like people say, I'm a musician, which basically means that they play guitar. Doesn't mean that they are an actual musician. Being a musician means you make money. From.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what definitions. Yeah, like a practicing artist or like a practicing musician. I
Exactly.
guess.
So like you're an artist, but with like the art isn't on the side. You know what I mean? Like you.
Yeah, I try to treat it as like.
So that's perfectly valid to be. When you start selling, then you're an artist. You know, or then you're practicing.
I guess it gives you confidence because then you can get money and then like you pay for paint that you sold from a painting. And it kind of feels cool and like.
Totally.
You pay for like your rent and stuff like that, which is nice. For certain things, and you can. Eat food and stuff that you pay for painting. Yeah. Because it comes from like I listened to this other podcast once where this guy talked about like the anxiety of like posting a post like that was promoting himself, and he's like, fuck, like he would think over for like a week, but like god damn it, like I hate myself for doing this, and like this whole internal like battle happening
for posting.
Yeah, and it was just like, oh, I feel like such a fucking prick for doing this, and like I feel like so lame for doing this, and I feel so like I don't know. There's always like these like the mad insecurities that always like play out when you like. Because when you're putting, I don't know, and it's like the online personality and then like the input, like I see people's like online personality and it's like very much like hey, doing this, super stoked, always like very much, everything's always going like correct.
Like fire.
I don't know,
emoji.
and I assume sometimes buyers want to see that because they're like, oh, confidence, and then it's like, okay, cool, like investors want to see like, oh, this person's in it, and they often like. Posting about their process. I don't know. It's like they're always like enticing you to like be more interested.
It's just like a system. It's a system. But to be honest, like for me, it's if I see an artist that's promoting himself too self-promotional, too mercantile, I'm like, what? You know what I mean? That's not like kind of. It's not exactly what you want to see. It's different in commerce and stuff.
Yeah.
Like commerce. I mean, in tech, there's a saying that says, "Build it and they will come," which basically means. Build your product so brilliantly that the users will come, and that's true to an extent. But after you've got like product market fit and after you've got some sort of traction, yes, build it and they will come. But before that, you kind of do have to think about a little bit of marketing. In a world where everything's been done before, and like art is not like you don't need it to. Look, I do think some people out there really like they need to have like visual. Like they need to have like some people are so visually inclined that they need a beautiful space to live in. It's like it's lower on the Maslow's hierarchy of needs than other people. But for most people, like art isn't like a functional thing. Like they want to, like it's not just for the visuals. It's also like, oh, the artist is super cool. Like, oh, he had such a tough life, or oh, he's such a you know what I mean? Like
it was like a weird like fetishization. It's like. But I understand what you mean. That's like the whole thing of like I guess Francis Bacon that people like.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, oh yeah, he was all fucked up and like look at these fucked up paintings and stuff like that. So it's like it all bleeds into like, and that definitely did help his brand. I'm assuming.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's a fine line. So I think that artists will have to like be more human in the future, and like. Like open up and talk,
But it's kind of weird because on the Instagram, because then you. Well, I guess Instagram's the main source of.
Yeah,
like
it's very fake.
That's my main source of on like self-promotion.
Yeah,
like,
no,
I
like,
think,
dude.
Yeah, but then you can get like weird. Then you can get like I guess like too self-promotional, too curatorial. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So a good middle ground. Like put yourself up on Instagram, but you don't have to be like sell out in all your like descriptions underneath everything.
Yeah.
Like here's my website. I've been working on this for. This many things, and this is this, and this is how much it like costs, or this is where you can follow me on Twitter, and like, whatever, like, But I think the Instagram is important, like.
No, it's very important. I mean, I was speaking to someone at my exhibition, and she was saying her boyfriend says to people, younger students, he always says Instagram is the most important thing, because that's how galleries and stuff will find you.
Yeah,
You know,
and
that's how they will get in contact with you through Instagram. It's like mostly through Instagram.
Like yes, like followers on Instagram is not a sort of direct correlation to artistic talent, or
No.
but first thing you do when you look at an artist's Instagram, you look at how many followers they have. You know,
Yeah.
the younger generation or whatever, like will have less scruples about Instagram because they to them they grew up with it. You know,
Yeah.
like
It's very normal.
yeah, it's very normal to look at how many followers someone has first. You know.
Mm.
But it must be said that people that can do that marketing spiel and people that are good looking generally, like, you know what I mean? Like, if they can, like, you know what I mean? Like, they'll have more Instagram followers. Like
Become
that.
more of an influencer or something like that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, like, if they're fashionable and they dress well and they're good looking, they're going to have, you know,
Yeah.
7,000 followers instead of 4,000 followers.
Yeah.
Like, that kind of, like, that's the disparity. Like,
Yeah.
it's, like, quite intense. And so, like, when you look at Instagram, if you look at artists on Instagram, you just always build that into your mental, like, you know, discount. If they're
Yeah.
like sort of self-promotional and good looking, then you have to discount that number of followers, you know, by a certain factor to get it down to like reality, you know.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
That's an interesting point.
But then, you know, if you are good looking, then you might as well, you know, every 10th picture, by posting your artworks, every 10th picture, you know.
A little selfie along with it.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
Shit, yeah.
anyway, so how do you feel about shared studio spaces? Do you feel like it detracts, or do you feel like it enhances? Like, are there too many voices like saying, "Ooh, that paintings needs this, it needs that," and so it becomes like a painting done by a committee? Or do you feel like being with other young artists, like it really invigorates you, and like, you know, in a competitive way or in any sort of other way? Like,
I don't know. I think I do prefer the shared studio space because it can get quite lonely. But I also do like it when I'm also like alone in the studio for like the whole day or something like that. You know what I mean? And like it'll just be me with my studio partners are like busy. I think it is important, yeah. And you can get and it's nice to get lots of input. But then more and more, I'm getting more and more like, fuck, like almost don't want anybody looking at this because I'm just like, I'm just in it right now and I just need to do this work. And it's like really shitty at the moment, but I know where I'm going.
Yeah.
Or I have an idea of where I'm like heading towards, and I'm just kind of in the groove. And someone can be like, "Oh, what are you doing?" And I'm like, can like break you out of the zone sometimes.
Yeah.
Or if there's too much like movement around me, sometimes it can be like,
yeah.
it can be like quite distracting.
But while you're young, do it while you're young, you know.
Yeah,
like, do it
yeah.
While you're
I
like,
saw this quote. I think it was like Picasso or someone, and he said, each artist. I don't know. It's like very romantic, but it was like each artist needs like long passages of solitude or something like that. So, I don't know, he needs to be like alone for like a lot of the time with his paintings, and like, I don't know. It's just like this like whole like mystical, romantic aspect of like painting. I don't know if that's the right word, romantic, but it's like this whole like like, you know, they speak to you and you speak back. It's like this very much like,
yeah.
this like funny idea of art often that like this mystical kind of element in art. I don't know, but the more I've been painting, it's like this kind of like the over the top or like wanky kind of elements. I don't know if that's the right word, but like these like elements of art that are like, you must listen to your paintings and they speak back to you. Like I never really got that much because I always had people helping me along the way. But the more it's just been kind of me sometimes, the more I've had to be like kind of lean into that kind of cliche, I guess, in some ways, being like, oh shit, okay, like I need to, like, you step back, you put it away for a while, and then you come back and you're like, fuck, like you have to, like, I've learned to like rely on myself more and more. It's kind of funny because it goes opposite of what I was saying earlier.
But yeah, it's a balance. I find it's a balance, like,
because it's like you trust your anxieties, and you're like, I don't know if it's my anxiety or if it's just like my own self-loathing, or if it's just like, or if this legitimately is bad. I don't know. Because some people come in, they like the things you do, and then some people like hate the thing that you like.
Yeah.
And it's like this, this weird, definitely a weird, often quite, I don't know, lots of pushes and pulls, I'd say.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's a balance. I would say it's a balance.
Definite balance. It's good to, if you're painting alone, I would say it's always good to have every once in a while people come in and.
But like not even just criticism, but like energy. You know, like I find like working with people like brings a certain amount of energy. Like you know, like one-upmanship. Like, ooh, you know, like my friend's staying
the competition
late.
and it's definitely healthy. and it can definitely be good.
And you feel the energy of other people that
Yeah,
are stoked about
yeah.
what they're doing, you know?
But then like sometimes when someone else is having like a bad day, and you're like, oh fuck, now this is like feeding into my day.
Oh,
I'm like,
wow,
oh
yeah,
my
yeah,
god,
yeah.
and it's like,
Yeah.
but not often. I mean, I've really enjoyed the studio space. Yeah, I've had a really good time. Nothing to complain about. It's
Yeah.
like often, and I do like. It is nice to not be alone, especially when you don't want to be alone. You're like, oh, and it's nice to like have chats and stuff like that.
I never get that.
What do you often want to be? Oh, do you often want to be with other people?
I don't know. I never want to not be alone.
Oh,
Like I think no, like I think I think that I try and like prevent as much like, you know, family commitments and like friends and stuff as possible, because it always just happens to me anyway, you know.
yeah.
Like I'll design my weekend or my week to be, and my weekend to be like only work, and then things will come into my life like, hey, come to this, come to that, and you just try to limit those as much as possible.
Okay.
So I don't seek it out, you know, because there's so many other people in the world.
Yeah.
Everyone else is like seeking it out, you know. So
Yeah.
as like an introvert, I don't know if I'm an introvert or not, but as an introvert, like
To scale, I guess.
just plan for no interactions, and then interactions will
happen. Yeah.
automatically.
I also think that, and then I'm like, is that just being, when you're younger, it's just more apparent, and when you get older, that starts to fade away more and more.
Exactly.
Like
yeah.
I am getting, I'm not like old, but I'm certainly getting a little bit older, and like, you know, after you finish university, and if you're not like,
Me and you are both at that 27, you know,
yeah,
at the age of 27, which I feel is like the new 21. 27 is like, you are who you are now, and if you have certain things that are bad about you, they're probably not going to go away, and you have to learn to live with them, kind of like, because when you're 22, like, or 23, or, you know, everything
so
is
much
like
changes all the time. Yeah.
everything's on the table, like open, like doors are all open, you know.
Yeah.
Whereas now, me and you are just passing that threshold of like, you know, we're grown up now. Like
when you hit 30, and then it's like, fuck.
like if you have a stutter or something, it's gonna be very difficult to like change that.
Yeah.
Or but then again, also like who knows, you know. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, we could go on about this for ages,
getting
but
old and just
getting older is like quite liberating sometimes, because you can like know for sure what you like and what you don't like.
Yeah.
And you can curate your life in a way that you quite. But then also like people around you and stuff, there's less blue sky thinking. There's more sort of reality steps in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
People are less like, they're much more risk averse. You know, whereas when you're 21, 22, 23, like, you know, it's blue sky thinking all the way.
Yeah.
Everyone's happy. Well, not happy,
more
but
crazy kind of stuff. And now I'm like.
But I think it's important to like live those parts of your life. Like live.
Yeah,
you know,
of course. Yeah. Sometimes I feel like I didn't do enough of it, or maybe then I was like,
yeah, and
I regret doing other. I don't know.
So if anyone's listening and they're 21, and like I would have this advice. Yes, it's important to build up a skill, like a marketable, like, or whatever skill that you want to be.
Yeah.
Like, yes, it is important in this day and age to specify, like, to in the rainforest of like. Of the economy, it's very important to be able to do something really well and to stand out. But also, like me, in 5 years' time, you could have a complete change of trajectory, and your old skills are like not valuable anymore. Like when I was, you know, 21, like the thing I could do best was like learn scales and like learn, like, you know what I mean, like I could like study my like jazz theory, like whereas now that is completely like, not completely, but
not so relevant.
You might have a complete career change, and actually, because it like kind of negates what you've done before. But what I don't regret is spending time on being young. You know, I didn't just lock myself away and hothouse myself as a jazz musician. I spent that time being young, and I feel like, because I've done that, you're less likely to have crises about, oh, I missed my youth, or oh, I, you know, like when you're 55, having a midlife crisis.
Yeah.
So yeah, I guess that would be the
good advice.
Yeah. So try and do both. Try and hothouse yourself and become really good at one thing, but also know that you could, down the road, your career could change completely, and those skills could be defunct or not so valuable anymore. So spend time on living life as well, you know.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
Like
Yeah, it's
build
good
up your
advice.
EQ, you know.
Yeah.
Cool. Should we do the should we go to the paintings?
Yeah, let's go to the paintings. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So this is the segment during which the artist and I discuss 5 to 10 works of theirs, covering whichever aspect and in whatever level of detail they're comfortable with. They could just basically just like a show and tell. They could just flip through the artworks and just, or we could go into deep depth about it. It's all to do with it's all the artist's prerogative. If you're listening to this as a podcast, i.e., not on YouTube, then I strongly recommend you grab a G&T and get horizontal and open up Instagram, where you can see our numbering of the pieces in the image descriptions and follow along at your own pace. You could search for _art_investor, or you could click on the link in the description of this podcast. Great, cool, let's get into it. Or you could just watch the YouTube video, which is a slideshow basically, and we talk over it. And yeah, feel free to send your people who don't know what an Instagram is, your older people, to the YouTube link, because they'll probably find it a lot less daunting. Cool. So, image 1.
Cool.
So the name of this is?
The names quite melodramatic now, these names, but this is from my 4th year, my final year at Michaela's. This is I didn't mean it, I loved you, that was why I did it. This is when I was like very kind of concept heavy. Weird name. So I would often get, this is like kind of I was very influenced by like a lot of literature, especially like South African literature. So and I would often paint passages from like books and reinterpret them, I guess, and then and then onto like just as paintings. So the passages from the book by this writer James Coetzee, from his book In the Heart of the Country, and it's like about this she's like a spinster that lives in like this farm in like the Karoo, I don't know where the fuck, in some desert, and she's just kind of living. It's like, I think it's like in the early stages of like, I guess, colonization of like in South Africa. It's like in some intermediate period, I don't know, like the early 1800s or something like that. Or late 1800s, I'm not actually sure. Yeah, and just very like kind of stark, quite depressing. I don't know. And then it's like the book gets kind of like weird and surreal at some point, and she shoots like her father in like the gut, and then he's slowly bleeding out. And that's the line she said to him while he's lying on his bed. And it was kind of a story about, because like there's these workers that are on the farm as well, like these 2 workers, and then the father was sleeping with one of the workers. So it's like this, lots of, like really politically like charged and stuff like that. Actually, this book, it's because it was written in like the 80s or the 90s. I'm not actually sure.
But yeah.
And then, but this painting was, it's funny enough, that's actually my dad. I mean, he wasn't naked, but he was. That's why he looks actually so funny. His biology is so funny, because I actually didn't have like a proper reference to see where like the body parts like kind of joint, because it's obviously all clothed.
If it was like, more perfect, it wouldn't be as
haunting. So it's just kind of weird, uncettling, kind of like his arms are like sewing on strangely.
Exactly.
And, like,
it's like a
blob.
newt, or like a tadpole, like amorphous sort of fetus, like you know what I mean? It's like, that's what makes it.
Which is something I really liked about, which I thought was good about this painting, and it was actually my lecturer said it was one of almost her favorite works it was a work that she liked a lot, and it kind of made me look at it in like a new light. And it's based off like this old painting by I don't know, I'm not going to say his name properly, Theodore Jericho. Do you know him? Jericho. It's like Theodore, he's like this old guy, I don't know if he's French or something, but he was like one of those old kind of classic painters, and he painted like this dead cat. And then like it's like a similar, because I was very obsessed with like those old painters when I was in my 4th year, like Goya, Jericho, like Rembrandt, Titian, all those guys, and
awesome.
The old masters. And I don't know. I guess just an amalgamation of both. I thought it was quite interesting that, and then this kind of the body just came out interesting, and the colors are interesting, and it's just this weird translucency about it that I kind of like. And there's like a certain amount of depth that's good enough, and on this quite strange bed, almost there's something almost quite like existential about it, actually.
Very much so.
Yeah, and these black backgrounds especially were like a big Goya black paintings reference that I always was very interested in. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, this is like a very like literal, like this is like a very like, it's like a very like, these paintings, these first two paintings are like quite like narrative driven often, and they were often, because like I wrote essays and stuff on them, and it was, yeah, for my final year. So that's the thing about what I was saying in the beginning actually of the podcast. It was like the way you go around these ideas and Michaela's, and the lecturers would often push against this idea and would often make you work like in an interesting way. They would often be like, no, just do the stuff, and the ideas would come later. Like they were pushing this like intuitive kind of process-based style of working, but the system in place, I think, is like, it's a lot more, it's like it depends on like this, on quite a theoretical thing, because you have to have like an essay of like 5,000 I don't know how many words in the end, you know what I mean, and you have to,
it's good that
your work has to, it's like, and it's tough, like,
but it's good that they do that, because then you're able to do that. You're able to frame your work in a whole bunch of other ways.
But I don't know if that's good, because then you sometimes have works that like, because then you have like a bunch of like younger, you know, have kids essentially just like, that are actually just interested in art and interested in this kind of stuff, and they kind of get like, I feel like I see it, and I had it, and I was like, you get confused and you can get like disparaged about it, and you shouldn't get disparaged about, I guess, like, I'm just like painting, really. I'm just like really interested in, like, I just love painting. Like, I just really like it a lot. Like, this painting, it's like, it seems it's got this, maybe it's got this like political and historical like baggage to it, but it's just, I'm referencing Jericho, and like, I don't know if I'm saying his name right, but like, it's because I just like painting mostly. I don't know. And I'm interested in like referencing in all these other artists often. Yeah, it's
a mission. It's like, you know, it's not just writing, it's like writing, you have to cite your sources and things like that, you know, but it's, university teaches you to do that so that you can do that. And you can always go completely sort of like, you know, like in the other direction if you like, but you can. You know.
I mean, you could leave Michaela's and be like you have a BA as well. You qualified to be like a writer as well. You can write for like publications and stuff. Like, I know a lot of my one friend's a copywriter now after she left, and like you can, it teaches you like those valuable skills as well that like those other universities weren't. But you get like a diploma or something, and you know what I mean. But I was always interested in just becoming like a painter, like a painter's painter.
But I think it's only bad if it's framed as in like, I could have painted more with my time rather than write essays. But if in a hypothetical world where there wasn't a trade-off, then I think it's really good to be able to write about your work.
No, of course. I mean, this is an issue that I have, like not being able to speak about my work properly. And I listen to other artists that do speak about their work, and it's like really impressive, and it's something I admire actually quite a lot. But I just can't. I'm bad at articulating. And it's funny, I was discussing when we were having that in the break. After I left Michaela's, I like try to not go into any kind of understanding and stuff. Like no kind of theoretical. I just kind of just was painting whatever what I felt like painting.
And no communication, like no communicating of your art, you know.
I didn't have to explain it, because I was also in my house in Plet, like no one really saw it, and I was just like, and I started showing my friends, and they would just like crit me just on what they saw, and just not really like, they weren't involved in my process from the beginning, you know what I mean? And I wasn't really influenced by like a lot of stuff around me. I watched some movies that like really influenced me, and then I would like try and paint that feeling from what I got from that movie, or like I'll try and paint this feeling I got from like this, like this book. Actually, funny enough, that's essentially what that painting is about. Just painting a feeling from that passage from that book, and just trying to do that successfully, because I like the feeling it kind of gave.
Cool. Okay, let's move on to image number 2. So that was image number 1. There at the bottom of the descriptions on Instagram, it's going to say image number blah, 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 and then the title. So image number 2.
Oh god, this one is political. Fuck. This is literally Louis Botha.
Starting with the political ones, eh?
So this was called I Recognize Him Despite the Change, which is also another quote from the book. And it's at the end of this book called Waiting for the Barbarians, also by Coetzee.
Yeah.
And it's this general who's been like crucified to like his staff, or like his mast, his like flagpole on his horse. But that's like the I guess like the theoretical kind of side, or the political side to it. But actually, I like this painting. I chose it because it was kind of an push away from these like really dark colors I was using often, and actually kind of into like the ground is like this crazy kind of like red. And the sky
lava,
is like this kind of it's almost like this lava, but it's like a
gaseous,
dust or something. that's like-
gaseous lava, like on a different planet, like on Saturn or something.
oh really?
Or Saturn, you can't stand on Saturn, but like, you know what I mean?
Otherworldly almost.
Yeah.
It's like, and I like that idea of this. It was a good. I chose this painting, I think, because it was a good like pull in the direction I think I wanted to go in, like later on, or I don't know, like experimenting with color more. And this face that wasn't like a face really, it was like kind of just like a smush of paint. So it's almost quite, it was very painted, but then it seems quite like
are these
graphic.
A progression? Like you started off like, are these like image 10 is going to be like
the latest ones? Yeah. So
Cool.
chronological,
I like it when artists do that.
Okay,
like,
cool,
I like it when that happens. So then, but yeah, so
you can
like,
see the progression,
because later on we're going to look at pictures that have like much more amorphous globular faces, you know, like destroyed faces. So that this is like to show like where it started.
Yeah.
It's like a hellscape, man. It's really cool.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and that novel was just interesting because it speaks about this like desert. It's like this like frozen desert. It's like weird. It's like there's sand everywhere, but then there's also like ice, and there's like these frozen like these dead seas covered in like this weird crusty ice often. So like the seas are like swampy, and it's like that element of it I really enjoyed, and like this paranoia about like almost like this frontier, and like this, it was also like written in like the 80s or the 70s, if I can't remember, but and it just gave this quite, I thought it was an interesting feeling or concept that I wanted to try and carry on. I don't know, this weird internal kind of conflict often that I was interested in. But that was fourth year, and then the next year, then I kind of moved away from that entirely.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Image 3.
Oh shit, yeah. Jeez, I chose some funny ones. So this is from my show last year, 19 Loop. Called Information Gap. Yeah, that's me in the shower, I guess. So I had a bunch of these poses I did in the shower during lockdown.
Yeah.
And I just thought, so funny. It was so funny, but also kind of dark. And I was like,
it's
oh
super
my God.
dark. But like for me, the green like sludge on the wall, like, you know, it's like a bad trip, you know.
Yeah, no, it looks very. I mean, I think that's just the color of my tiles in my home because I'm like, fuck. But they are because the light as well on the camera made them look like that as well. And obviously, I think I went darker in lots of areas where it wasn't actually that dark.
Like dripping green sludge from the top, like.
And I think there was something quite. I think I just had fun painting this one often. I don't know. Yeah, I'm just, I guess, looking at myself as I always like taking pictures of myself and then like painting like my body. It's kind of weird and skinny often. I just like the way like my ribs and stuff often are. I don't know. And it was just an interesting like anatomy study. But yeah, this one went actually at my show. Like my first show, I painted like a bunch of weird paintings and I painted a bunch of more normal paintings. And then all the weirder ones actually went, which I was quite happy about. Because I thought, because I had more fun painting the weirder ones.
Yeah, exactly.
This was definitely one of the weirder. This is probably the weirdest one, actually.
Less platitudinous, you know. We're going to get to ones that I prefer, that I really like, much more. But like, I do like people who are willing to celebrate like darkness, you know.
Yeah, just like the. During the lockdown, I watched this movie called The Lighthouse. I don't know if you've seen that Robert Eggers film.
I don't watch a lot of videos. I find that like, you know, movies, like I feel like it's, if I'm going to commit to a character, like I want it to be sort of multi-series, like long epic, rather than like 2 hours and then you dropped after that.
No, I'm the opposite. I love the movies, man. I like going to a movie and you get like this it's like such a I don't know. I guess I watch too much series often as well, so I just like watching these movies where I'm like, they do it in a way that, because like some series I watch, I'm like, you could just shove this all into a movie. Like, why you gotta fucking have, like, there's so much dead space sometimes in series. And like this movie, The Lighthouse, was so really influential. And I was like, oh my, just like the feeling in that movie was like insane. And so it took a lot about feeling, I guess. And I often just want to capture those. There's something about that feeling when I was like really unsettling, and then like something quite weird sexual, and then like quite like vulnerable as well. I don't know. And so this painting was
But-
just a result of that.
Yeah, like to me, it invokes like a negative trip, or like mental health issues as well.
Oh yeah, maybe, yeah, shit, I don't know. Yeah, see, I'm not thinking about any of that kind of stuff.
but
But
everyone-
this is all just people's
Yeah,
Yeah.
everyone like
interpretation.
will grab onto threads in their life that they've
Yeah,
experienced like recently, or things like that.
yeah, but I just hope this painting is I hope it's a little bit funny as well, actually, in some ways. I don't know. I hope there's a bit of humor in some of it. You know what I mean? And I think the humor, I lack humor, I think, in some of my works. And I think it's really important. And
You lack humor in some of your works.
yeah, and I really want to
Yeah,
try
yeah,
and
yeah,
get
yeah.
more humorous, because I feel like, I don't know. I feel like humor is important.
I would say.
Yeah.
Okay.
This one.
Image number
Oh,
4.
yeah. This one's the Doldrums. Joy, these ones are heavy, actually. Show some heavy works.
Yeah, these are heavy. Yeah.
This one, yeah. This is literally a scene from The Lighthouse, that movie. It's a screenshot from that film. This is the only time I've actually ever done that. Oh no, I also did a screenshot from a film in my 4th year, but that changed a lot. But this, so the movie's actually black and white. So I came up with the colors just myself and I'm just painting them. Yeah, weird.
It looks like cyclopean walls. Like sort of like ancient rusted like cell. Like
Yeah,
prison
something
cell,
maybe like that. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's this weird room with this guy, and he looks like he's just finished masturbating, or like he's about to. I don't know. He looks pretty sad. Looks quite down about it.
Yeah.
But his body is quite flayed and stuff. Yeah, there's something really cinematic about this shot, because it's this painting, because it's probably from a movie,
I haven't seen the movie.
and I haven't manipulated it enough to make it non-movie like, I guess. But yeah, I guess I like this. I don't know. I kind of like this idea of, like almost like a loveless place sometimes, or like a frustrated, sad place. And
Yeah.
I don't know why, but it's something that was in this movie, and also I guess in Katsia's writing quite a bit. Actually, in lots of the South African novels, we've got this quite sad theme of lovelessness often. There's another South African writer called Damon Galgut, who I also like a lot, and he often has these stories from his life and stuff that he puts into his novels, and they talk about these themes of just, I don't know, he talks about what it means to be alone often, and it's quite I don't feel alone, but sometimes you do, and it's nice to hear someone say something like that, or speak something like that about it, that resonates with you. I don't know, and I guess this painting is a bit of an amalgamation of that, or a bit of a result from that. This theme of lovelessness, maybe.
Yeah, I only ever feel alone in the sense of sort of on a sort of existential level, how much will you ever connect with anyone? You know what I mean? There's always going to be alone in your own psychology and in your own body. You'll never connect with someone to the level that you kind of hope for,
Yeah. It's quite, it can be quite overwhelming sometimes, quite sad.
So much philosophy about this,
And I'm not really a smart, I don't really, it's just why I stay away from the theory sometimes, because I'm fuck, I just can't actually explain these things, because just sometimes these feelings can get they're quite intense often, and they can be quite overwhelming. So when you read like fiction often, that's why in movies and then when they portray that or explain that idea kind of in layman's terms sometimes, you know what I mean? A movie can give you a stronger an emotional feeling than a philosophy text, you know what I mean? And it's I can understand the movie easier and I can dissect it easier, but I can discuss maybe these complex ideas that non-fiction theory can do.
Is it in a sort of bathroom, or is it in a prison cell?
So, in the movie, it's on he's in this weird shed, really, where they store stuff, and then he gets this strange compulsion to just quickly masturbate, and then he just starts weeping afterwards.
And these are
crates of that's rope on the left side there. It's rope, or it's I don't know, it's whatever. Some people say it looks like snakes or worms coming out of it, which also I really like other people's like interpretations of stuff.
It looked like, to me, it looked like a bathhouse, and then these are sort of like water, drinking water, like a spout.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, geez, I never even thought of that. Yeah, that's also an interesting idea. Yeah, yeah, that's also why I like not sometimes putting so much stuff on the faces, detail on the faces, because then you look at it again and again, and then you start getting more and more unsure of what this face actually is.
But also now we're not drawn to the face, you know.
Yeah.
Immediately.
Yeah, I mean this face is like covered in darkness.
Yeah.
Can't really see it.
Okay, should we move on to
the next one.
image 5, huh?
Mm-hmm. Oh yes, yeah. This one I also like. A good portrait. So this one's part of a triptych actually. Yeah, so this one's called "And We Are 50 Feet Out to Sea, Being Chewed Apart by Sadness," which was this book I read from a book because I often borrow titles from books because they, you know, I'm a painter, not a writer. People say stuff, and I'm like, oh wow, that, you know, can't be said better sometimes.
Yeah.
So I'm like, shit, why would I even try and
improve upon that?
Yeah, you know. So if someone's like, that's a bad title, I'm like, well, I didn't write it. So I didn't write this title, so you can't actually criticize me. No, but it was from this book. It was called "Grief Is a Thing with Feathers" that my brother gave me, and it was this weird like story. He's this writer. It's like a new book, in England, I think, and his like wife dies in the book, and he's just like dealing with the death of his wife. And I thought that was like such a when I read it, I was like, wow, that's such a crazy quote, and because it seems so intense. I don't know. And then I made this triptych of this scene where this was the middle one, where it was like all these precursors, I guess, to violent events, or like something happening after violent events. Like there's one of a seal that's just standing alone by itself in the water looking at something, and then there's this family here, and the mother's been like blurred out by like the darkness, and then they're all hugging, like waiting for something, and then the last one is like this house like blowing in like a hurricane or something like that.
So like,
or some like, it was like just like really hectic rainfall. I don't know.
So it's the aftermath or the precursor to something hectic happening.
Like the deep breath before like the jump is often like the scary bit. Like there's often like, you know, like I always think, I don't know why, like sometimes if you think of like a battle or a war or something like that, like one of the scariest bits must always be just before, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like always just be before you like do like a skydiving thing. It's like while you're in the air it's fine, but always before. That's like the scariest.
Yeah.
But it's always the jumping. It's always the
but also like
letting go or something
waiting
like
in the wings before you go out and like waiting in the wings before you go out and act or go out and sing or whatever.
Yeah, must be horrible.
Waiting in the wings is, you know, a lot more.
Yeah, a lot more scary.
Because when it's happening, it's kind of happening. And
and then you're kind of just using your mind.
Then you're in the flow,
yeah. And then it's just much more intuitive based and stuff like that. But it's always I don't know, just interested in those actions. And like, I don't even know what's happening in the scene. I don't even know what's happening. I don't know what's going on. It could be like I don't know where they are. I don't know what they're doing, but they look just really forlorn and quite sad and
oppressed, like this oppressive dark colors, like
and I like how the children's faces are. This is a throwback to Goya in his series, the black painting series. Just like that little girl's face on the left is like quite indistinguishable and just quite like stony almost.
Yeah.
And something quite like horrific about that. That's what Goya would do often. He would often paint these faces that were.
I immediately saw that, and I wasn't going to mention it, but she looked. Yeah, that does resonate with me. Like that's how I felt as well. She looks like a little like golem, you know. Like she's made out of clay or something.
Yeah.
You know? Or like deformed, you know.
Yeah, but no real threat at all. Just kind of a bit more melancholy, maybe a bit more sad. Yeah, it was kind of a melancholy show. This show, it was kind of strange. It wasn't.
But I mean, that color. Okay, I'm pointing to the upper right. You know, that color, that like turquoise and that blue, like aurora borealis, kind of is like really cool. And in
the scarf.
And these little textures, like little dots here, you know, like it must be really cool in person. Like this. This correct me if I'm wrong, but I expect this is like much better in person. Like this pops out at you much better.
Yeah, hopefully.
Like,
I think so. Yes, I think some guy bought it from the show. He's a guy who bought my works before. Nice guy. True patron. too
Awesome.
patron. But he just immediately liked this one.
Awesome.
And I was happy he bought it actually. Yeah, it's kind of it's just like a sad kind of portrait, I guess. It's just like real melancholy. Yeah, I don't know. This show was really kind of melancholy. I don't know why. Maybe it was just beginning of lockdown. I don't know what it was, but it was quite intense.
Cool. So moving on to image number 6.
Yeah. So this one's called "He Never Sleeps. He is Dancing. He Says That He Will Never Die." This one was about. I kind of saw an image of this guy from just some of my reference images, and I was like, wow, and I was so drawn to it. And the reason I chose this one was because of the way I did the face kind of, and I thought it was actually the way I used the paint was really effective. And it's something I carried on with afterwards, and that people responded to well. They seem to like this one.
Yeah, I like this one.
Yeah, because it's got. I feel like I capture this. I don't know, he looks like he's kind of decaying, but he's not. And it's kind of the fun thing you can do with paint. You know what I mean? It's you can it's got this weird blue head almost on the top right, and then this pinky nose, and below his eye, I don't know, this pink crimson alizarin, just kind of.
But
up and down.
Especially for old people and for wrinkles, it's really great. I'm looking at the his right eye. So for us, the left eye.
Okay.
His right eye.
Okay.
Just above it, to the left. That sort of wrinkles, all the texture there, really.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's got kind of I don't know, did it successfully, and I guess I liked how I did it technically. Then I thought it conveyed quite a strong emotion. I guess this portrait.
And splotchy.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, and the quote was from I don't know if you've ever read Cormac McCarthy.
No.
The book Blood Meridian, very strange book. About these cowboys in on the border of Texas. And
I haven't read enough cowboy
it's horror. It's not like normal cowboys. It's the OG cowboys. It's they're just scalp hunters. But it's the most graphic, brutal novel I've ever read in my life. It was horrible.
Yeah, no, it's very.
It was really great. Wow, really horrible, really great. But there's a character called Judge Holden. I mean, in this, the judge never dressed up in a tie or a suit. I don't know. There was something about it that embodied this kind of person. That I remember when I read the novel, it was just really influential to me, and then I just kind of went back to it, just
super 3D. I love the eyes. Both the eyes are sunken, and that's really adds to it,
Yeah, kind of this and he's he's a strange antagonist in the book. But I guess I chose this image really because it's of this technical kind of aspect of it that I enjoy a lot.
It looks
not so much the story is just I guess. Not anecdotal. I don't know what it's just an add-on. I guess something makes it more interesting. But really, the technique was something that it was a good. What's it called again? A good bookmark in my painting style.
Well, that's what I was just about to say. This is the first one you show me now that we can see okay, there's something here. He's good at technique as well. Objectively. This will people can look at it and be okay, he's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Has someone bought this one as well?
Yeah. A friend of mine's dad bought it actually.
So you could say this is a landmark milestone one for you, you using that technique.
Yeah. I haven't been able to do it. I feel as successfully as this again. Because now I've even gotten more and more loose, and more just slapping the paint on a lot. I don't know. I think I was still a bit timid maybe in some ways, but it worked out really well. And it was actually a good painting. That was a good starting point for going forward.
Awesome, cool.
And I like the little bit of skin always on his top, because it looks, and it just brings your attention back to paint.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know what I mean? It brings your attention back to being
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, it's making the awareness of paint more apparent, which for some reason is important, I think, to me.
Okay, so image number 7.
Yeah. This one is called Interference. Yeah. So this is part of my recent show now at 1990. And
This is cool.
quite, yeah, it's these, I guess to describe it, it's these like these kind of guys listening to a like an old radio.
Old school radio, yeah.
But people think it's like bottles or like a toaster or I don't know, other stuff. Like people think it's like lots of different stuff.
For me it was like 100%.
Oh, really?
Radio. And when you said interference, I was like, oh, I get it.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Oh, that's nice.
Audio interference.
Other people have been like, toaster, it's bottles. I don't know. I don't really mind.
Bottles.
Sometimes there's people like, oh, I don't know what that is. Then I'm like, oh shit, I need to change that because I want them to realize it's something. But more and more, I'm like, I don't mind if there's like always like loose interpretations of things or
you're building up confidence.
Yeah.
You know?
But this is actually painting. You can see there's always like these strange markings and stuff on it, and it's actually from a different painting underneath that I just completely painted over as well. So like the face.
That's super cool. I really love that.
Yeah. So the face on the left is like really really like
the male on the left.
The male. I don't know what the person is, but really looks quite ominous actually because you can't actually see what the heck's going on because there's all this texture like in the face.
Definitely.
And just like a strange scene. And a lot of my friends some of my painter friends like really like this one, or the people that are painting. So let me repeat that actually. Some of like my friends who also studied art as well, like they seem to like this one a lot and seem to think it's there's something about it that's, I don't know, more worthy. Fuck.
Okay.
I don't know how to take that part out, but it's like more. There's something about it that's just maybe it's more narrative driven. I don't know. It's not just like a face or something. It's like more
significant in some way.
Yeah, because like you're in this weird room and it's like setting a scene, like quicker almost than like just like a bunch of faces would do. I think it's like it's very narrative driven. I don't know. Yeah,
no, totally. Like something's going on. They're listening to some announcement. They're listening to like the president's dead or something like that. You know?
Or like
in 1950 something. You know, or even
even earlier. But it's which I kind of like, and I must say that I do like these narratives that I don't know what's going on. So often I would paint narratives from books where I knew the narrative and I knew what was going on, and now I'm really drawn away to not do that. So I'd paint these scenes where there is a narrative but I don't even know what's going on, and then you kind of figure out this thing through like these paintings, I guess, and through this like this scene of what you're seeing, and it's just interesting to have. I don't know, it's interesting to like experience that. I think if you're a viewer, it's like, especially when I go to a show, it's nice to see like, like I'm stepping into this world where like I must now, make sense of this person's world that they're like showing me. And I like that idea. And I think this was like, like a, strange room with all these people sitting around with like this strange lamp and this strange big box radio.
Yeah.
And they've got these kind of strange looks in their faces.
And they look very sort of undead,
Yeah.
Very sort of zombie-ish.
Yeah.
Do you know Lovecraft, H.P. Lovecraft?
No, you mentioned. I was meant to look it up. You mentioned it to me. I didn't actually look it up. People have said it to me before, often.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they've often said it's very Lovecraftian.
Lovecraftian, H.P. Lovecraft, like, so you don't know anything about the Cthulhu mythos.
Literally know nothing about. It's funny. No, I don't know. I don't know.
So in the mythos and in like the Call of Cthulhu, which is one of the and the Shadow over Innsmouth, like one of the most famous short stories. H.P. Lovecraft was a horror writer in 1927, amateur, and only after he died. It's such a cool story. Anyway, like a recluse, Anyway, you can read up about him. Anyway, he was funny. But he in those stories that there were sort of fish people. They sort of had like interbred with like fish people, right? So like in these sort of like misty sort of coastal backwaters, like Innsmouth is this fictional town in like Boston, New Boston in America, something like that. They like sort of had been sort of corrupted and like interbred with like fish people, and the people like had started to have gills and all these things.
God.
Like
Yeah, that does sound cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it was very cool. Like it was a computer game about it.
Yeah, almost really, yeah, it is. I do. It's funny. I do like I am into like not so much fantasy. Obviously I was a kid. I was really into Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter and the mainstream. Mainstream
but
fantasy.
in H.P. Lovecraft stuff, like the protagonist goes crazy, like loses his mind,
No,
like
really?
breaks down, like and completely just ends up gibbering, and
Oh my
know,
god!
or-
So it's really like a horror kind of.
or they get killed. Like there's no
okay.
happy ending at all. Like it's,
Okay.
and that's what drew me to it. You know, there's
Okay.
it's always like corruption. There's always decline.
Yeah.
There's always darkness.
Yeah.
There's always, it isn't horror like for the sake of horror. It's not like.
Yeah.
It's not like just horror for the sake of horror,
Yeah.
or it's not, and it doesn't scrick you for the sake of scricking you.
Mm.
It's just psychological weirdness.
Yeah,
like
they're using
it's,
horror as like a platform just to
yeah, it's almost like
explain that.
by the by, that it's
Yeah. No, I do like that, like using stuff as using like horror as like a convention to carry a story about
yeah,
something else. I don't know. You know what I mean? It's like not so much. It's not about the jump scares. It's about the overall, theme or the overall kind of idea. I don't know.
But it's very existential as well. Like it's very like humans are
sounds
puny. Humans are like there's all these other evil forces in the world that are much older and ancient than we can't understand. And often his protagonists like have a connection. Like they're super sensitive people. Like in some way, like they're just more sensitive to like. On the quantum level, I guess. I don't know, but he doesn't. He's nothing sciencey about his stuff. But they're sort of very sensitive, like artists or poets or intellectuals or whatever, who can kind of feel this other realm that normal people can't feel. And I guess he felt like he was one of those. And like they have this, it's just dripping with existential dread. His stuff.
The whole time. Oh wow.
Anyway, it's super cool.
Because I am.
But you're gonna need a dictionary. Like he.
Oh wow. Is it?
Yeah, he like
Smarty Pants.
No, not Smarty Pants. Just he loved old school words, and like in 1927, these words were already like completely archaic, and he put them into his stuff.
Oh
you
my
know.
god. Oh really?
Yeah, so it's kind of like writing in like 1820, but he's in 1920. Anyway.
Read his stuff.
Yeah, it's super cool. Like you have to.
Yeah,
like,
someone else said to me, very Lovecraftian.
cool. Yeah. No. Yeah, and also you've sort of interfered with the main, like.
I guess with the surface of the
I
canvas.
don't have the words.
Yeah. I suppose there is definitely interference there, and that's also and it's you get all these like weird little I don't know if it's serendipitous, but I don't know, you get these like moments where just like things overlay and they just work out, and that's often actually what I like. It's often interesting about painting on like older canvases or painting over paintings. Like there's an artist as well I really like, and he would paint. He says he can't even start on a white canvas, and he just puts on so much paint, just layers and layers of like just clumps and clumps of paint,
just to get him.
Just so that there's texture there as well, so that when he paints, he's not painting on nothing. And I think
it's just unpredictable to him when he paints over.
Oh yeah, well it's just because you're not painting on this massive white thing that is super daunting. Or like especially when I paint, I always paint like an underlayer, and then I'll start painting on like weird marks and stuff on even after that.
Yeah.
And just really have like so by the time you start on something, it's like you're painting on like it could be like it's such an uneven surface. It's playing around is really fun with that. Yeah.
But image number 7 has another painting underneath.
Well, this one does. So often when I start, if I don't like the work, I'll paint over it. Which happens quite often. But
if we go through ones now and there's one underneath, tell me, because that's super cool. I love that idea.
No. Like, I think the next 3.
I love there's a hidden back layer.
Yeah.
Super
Some of them
cool.
are like that. Yeah.
Okay, image number 8.
No, this is just this one. I mean, this did start off with all these weird textures and stuff on it. As you can see, it's got like and this one I was really effective. Probably going back to that other one of that portrait of that guy. Kind of like it was something I did a face, and it actually became really effective. And I started working a lot for this show, a lot of collages.
Yeah.
And yeah, I'm starting from collages as well, because there's two artists that I like, Adrian Gani and Justin Mortimer, and they both use collage as like a big part of their work. And I had a she was a lecturer, but then she also works at the gallery, and she came into my studio with the guys from the gallery, and she was saying you should start doing collages as like just like a form of like clearing your head and stuff like that. And it actually really became like a really big part of my process now, and it's like a really big stepping point, because you can
exploration for
yeah you. Sorry, not stepping point, but it's like a really big point of exploration. And it really is nice, because then you when I start doing these images, I'm like, oh wow, and you start seeing all these things you never thought you'd see, and like this weird green cap on the sky is like something else. It's from a separate image as well, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then the eyes like vanish at some point because they'd be scraped. Obviously, when you start painting, they get scraped away, and it's all just about. At some point, you almost throw the collage away.
So there were eyes.
I mean, on the guy, there were eyes. This is
Yeah.
like a man, yeah. And this one's called the Tourist. Sorry, probably should have said that. But there were eyes on this guy, and then obviously, like they just get scraped away at some point, or they vanish in like the shadow, or sometimes I don't even feel like it's necessary to add the eyes. Because if you get it, the less I can show sometimes of like this emotion, then with if I can show almost less with less paint, with less detail, more paint. I've been using more paint now, but if I can show almost less with detail and still get the same emotion or same like feeling, then I almost feel like that's better, because then you are. It's more the longer you look at it, the more confusing it can be sometimes. So when you first look at it, you obviously see a face and like a cap, but then you look at it and the cap's like separated actually onto his cheek.
This ear is like way out.
Yeah, the ear's way out, and the eyes like just scraped off completely.
And then you're like, whoa, his nose is a hole. Like,
and then you see
that's super.
and then you see like, and it becomes like really painterly, and you're like, oh my god, like you're not seeing like you are seeing like this like fleshy messed up person, but you're also seeing like lots of just paint. Like you're seeing like really like this like tactile playfulness of paint, which I like, because I think I'd be more interested in just like playing with paint and like making the faces like, I don't know, more painterly.
The mouth, the hole is like very 3D and very sort of that's done really well. It works, you know.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I mean, and I like this one because he is screaming, but you don't know. That's why I call it the Tourist, because it's like he's gasping at something, and then I like that the gasp was like a surprise gasp, or like screaming. But it wasn't so like people think it's just screaming, because I think they think that about my work.
But it could be just a loudmouth tourist like pointing to someone and say, "Hey, I want a hot dog."
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, and it's just kind of funny. There's almost something like Mickey Mouse about this thing sometimes. But then there's this really dark element to
horror, like no nose, like you know.
And I'm not even like really even pushing for that. I think it's just the way I paint, and it's like it is quite violent, I guess, but it's just fun. It's fun to paint like that, and it's fun to paint in like this kind of crazy way, and to like, you know, like not really give a fuck. You just like, push down, take away.
Talking about not giving a fuck, like, do you feel like doing these like challenging images, like sort of horror vibes, do you feel like that like some people would go off your work straight away? Like,
what do you mean they wouldn't like it?
Do you feel like you're sort of mitigating like half your target market, like, you know?
No, because I don't even think I'm even doing anything like that even crazy. I sometimes feel like I'm like, you know, like everybody knows about like Francis Bacon's and like Picasso's faces were so messed up. They're like, you know, the most famous artists like in the world. Like everyone knows about, and so it's like, they're so big and influential. Obviously, making work like in those veins. Definitely a lot of influence by those guys.
So you don't feel it's that challenging?
No, I don't think I'm even doing anything like that, like savage or hectic like this. I mean, I can go online and you see the most fucked up stuff, like 0.2 seconds. You know what I mean? I can see like the worst stuff ever. Yeah. And like shocking art and stuff like that. Some people think like maybe I'm trying to be. I'm not really. I'm just more having. I guess that's why I said humor is important, because I am like most likely having fun with paint, And when I can like kind of blur the lines between like horror and like, or this idea of like horror and the mundane or the kind of the funny, I like to blur those lines more. You know what I mean? So like that's where the self-portraits, I guess, is because it's kind of like, I don't know if you're like you're laughing at yourself, but also it's like you're self-aware. You know, I didn't have anybody else to be my model, so I just chose myself and do these funny poses. I don't know. And there's a kind of humor in that. But no, sorry, I don't think I'm pushing anybody away. I think, I don't know. I mean, my last show, the weirder works did sell. The darker works.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's why I was like, oh, okay, I can just lean into
No, I
this.
think it's awesome.
Yeah,
but
yeah,
like,
yeah.
if you're listening to this and you think that these pictures are sort of way out there and challenging, then you just haven't seen the more hectic stuff, you know, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, go on the news. It's horrible. It's like,
Oh yeah.
it's like bombing in like, I don't know, like Syria. I don't know what's happening in Turkey right now. It's everything's just horrible. Like, it was just horrible often. I don't like, yeah. I don't know. So the more painterly I can make it, the more I can kind of get away from like this weird, realistic kind of horrorish aspect, and you can really get more into like the tactileness of, and more into the playfulness of these works. I don't know.
Okay.
And it makes them more. And also at the end of the day, it's just a painting. It's just like, oh, I can really see it. Yeah, this guy's just painting.
Yeah.
He's just having a good time painting. And I had like fun. I had fun painting this one. And when I started, I didn't think it would be kind of anything at all. And it kind of actually being one of my favorites.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So image number 9.
Yeah. Yeah, this one.
Super cool.
Yeah, so this one had a painting underneath. There's a strange portrait of like this mermaid. That she ended up being a mermaid. I don't know why. I mean, maybe I shouldn't even say that. God, but this was a very strange one. Yeah, that was also from a collage, and so this one's called "Counting Bones in the Smoke."
Very topical at the moment, hey, with the fire, with the
Yeah,
mountain
people were
burning
saying
and
when
stuff.
when the fire happened, people sent me this image and they're like, "Wow, poor." And I was like, "Fuck." But I mean, I was always interested in like stuff burning and fires. I don't know, because it's Cape Town. It's like there's always stuff burning.
Yeah.
Seems such a permanent thing.
But this recent fire was hectic.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, I had to,
You know,
I had to leave the studio that day because it was just too. The smoke was just. I felt sick.
Wow.
Yeah.
The fire was just up the road here, or
Yeah,
were you quite
Just
far
pretty
away?
much up the road. Yeah.
My flat was like my flat was like very close to the
Oh
fire.
really?
Like the helicopters were dropping just down the road from me.
Oh my god.
And I was like, okay, I'm gonna
That's so scary.
get all my stuff together, get a bucky, put it all in there, like just in case I have to evacuate, you know.
Oh, it's fucked up. Yeah. Wow. I mean, I just left because of the smoke. I'm surprised more people over here didn't leave because even if there was no threat of fire, just like the smoke was like
But
overpowering.
having to like take my stuff, literally take the things that matter and leave.
Yeah, that happened to my family in Plate a couple of years ago. I don't know if you know about that Neisner fire. That
Oh,
happened.
yeah?
Yeah.
So it's very like it's quite elucidating
Near and dear.
because I took the paintings that I really didn't want.
Yeah.
So like I took 3 paintings or 4 paintings, and
Yeah.
those are the ones obviously that mean the most to me. Because in the moment you're like, oh my god, just take these, you know.
Yeah.
And I had a lot to pack up, so I did it really quickly, and I just chose a certain, you know,
Some certain ones. Yeah. That's
and
interesting.
and it really clarifies for you like what's important, you know, like.
Yeah.
I only have, by the end of that day, well, when I actually left my flat, I felt that I had all the important physical things that I owned in the world
Oh, really?
in the back of the bucky. I was not stoked about everything else burning, but I felt like the really, really important things I had got in the back of the bucky, you know.
Okay.
Family heirlooms and things like that, you know, and like really special
Yeah.
paintings and, you know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
it,
the library as well. Yeah.
it shows you which paintings you like best.
Yeah. Yeah, this one's big. So you couldn't fit it in the car. You had to
Yeah.
let this thing burn.
Well, I had a bucky.
Oh, yeah, fuck. Could have popped this guy on the back.
Yeah.
Um,
I dig it. It's cool.
Yeah, it's very weird. Yeah, very, kind of like the strangeness, how big those shutters are and how small that guy is. And then this weird
like-
figure at the bottom.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, no one knows what that is. So it's actually from,
but now they do because you said it earlier.
what?
It's a mermaid.
No, the whole painting was a mermaid before. The figure was actually a mermaid.
Okay. Okay.
No, God, no. So the painting underneath this one, I'm saying there was a painting underneath
I thought you meant this is a mermaid.
No. God, such a funny. No, people think it's like a goat and stuff, but it's actually like a figure borrowed from
It's
Francis Bacon.
a ghost, yeah.
Francis, like a goat. They thought it was a goat.
No, yeah, it looks like a goat, but it's also like a ghosty
Oh yeah,
goat.
it is like a weird. It's a strange figure from. Someone asked me what it was, and I showed them the image of the Francis Bacon one, and they were like, "What the fuck is that?" And I was like, "I don't know."
So, like the burning or like the like black cindered bush or branches there. Those are like super 3D, right?
Yeah, it's really thick, this one. It's got really like lots of thick paint.
Super cool, like very 3D, very caked on.
Yeah, and yeah, when I was painting I was unsure, but then it ended up being quite nice. I don't know, I kind of enjoyed it. And I had fun just like smacking all that painting on the fire.
So what is this? What is...
I don't actually know. It's like some weird figure from one of Bacon's paintings. And it's really, I sometimes do that, sometimes borrow little things.
And then
if it's cheeky or if that's bad.
There's just someone pointing at it like, oh
that's just
gosh.
someone, yeah. So that was a figure from the collage that I just incorporated into it as well. He's just staring into this building. I think it's actually like originally like a brothel or something or like a sex house he's looking into.
Yeah.
And then obviously the fire was part of the collage that I added onto this building. And I just thought it was interesting.
And this is the street outside, huh?
Yeah, outside. Some people think it's inside.
Yeah,
I don't
for
really
me
mind.
it was inside, but like to be honest, like this is a huge window, you know.
It's a massive window. That's what makes it much more like disconcerting as well. Yeah, and he's like this. If it's something that's too big or something, there's like an anxiety about that. You know what I mean? It's
it doesn't fit. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely this world where stuff doesn't fit, which I'm interested in.
Awesome. Okay, cool.
Yeah,
moving on to image 10.
Yeah, so this one's called Ghosts. Also from a collage. Yeah, so I think this is actually one of my favorite ones, just because of the way that kid's arm is like hanging down, like, and it's really also seems a lot bigger than it needs to be. And it hangs down like a lot longer, like it's like quite
like a robe.
Yeah, it looks weird. Like it looks, and like it's this whole thing that I'm not. Oh god, my lecturer said something to me once really good. She said, "You can paint." I might fuck this up, but she said I'm paraphrasing now, I think, but it's like you can be good at painting something. If you paint something non-realistically, but people will still get the idea of it, that's good. But if you can't, like there has to be the intention that it's not. You're not painting it in a way that's like if like it's not I don't know, it's not conventional. Like if I paint a hand and I do it badly, but you still get the essence of the hand in it, and you get the feeling of that this hand is like, if you can get like this like strange detail in the hand that's like the hand's like all like fucked up or like all gnarled and stuff like that, but it's a badly done hand, that's almost better than painting like a realistically done gnarled hand, because it like that's the whole thing with the faces. Like if you paint these faces that are quite really like a mush of paint actually, but you get the essence of this person actually quite clearly. I don't know, you can get the essence of like what this person, or like maybe they're in pain, or maybe they're just laughing, or I don't know, maybe it's like, but it just gives you the feeling rather than like an actual just like visual
You're not conveying facts.
Yeah, and I think that's important in painting. I think it's often like
you're eliciting that person's feeling.
Yeah, and you're kind of opening the door up to like a bunch of responses that the viewer can like feel or like interpret.
Yeah, but that's what art is like. It's not meant to convey a message. It's meant to teach you about your own thoughts when you look at it. Because you know, especially with like challenging art or like horrific art or something like that, you look at it and you go, oh my gosh. It brings up these things I'm thinking about. Why is that? You know, it's almost like therapy. You know, so
and it can make you.
It teaches you about your own responses. You know, rather than conveying a message. Like
or it can even just be kind of fun.
It can be just fun.
Like oh my, like he's trying to do that, or this person's trying to like, that's interesting way of looking at that kind of person or this idea of a thing. Like I said,
sometimes it's just fun.
I it's weird. I'm always so contradictory because I'm always like I want to be like more humorous or more like less didactic, but then all these titles and all these images are like kind of heavy and hectic, and like there's always people screaming or like masturbating in like a sad, lonely room, and they're always alone, and like there's like this real like melancholy and like violence. And then I'm always like, no, I want it to be funny because it's like, you know. But it is, I don't know. I'm a very contradictory person, I guess. I'm still figuring out it. I don't know, but I am drawn to like this, definitely this darker side. And maybe I don't know why I think that way. But it is like these hands and stuff like that. Yeah, that are on this kid. There's something really ominous about it. And you know, it almost looks like a kind of like a baptism or something like that. Something religious about it. But
yeah, exactly. The cuff on her left hand there, and the sleeve, like it's like the robe is like very sort of religious.
And then there's like this weird like statue that's coming down almost on the right.
On the right,
like, just like being like, it's like kind of just like, you know, like so that's why I kind of came up with this title, the ghosts, because I just thought like it's like this strange thing, I don't know, of like
she's been like hothoused or groomed for something.
Yeah, and just not even really just giving the prompt and the image, and then just letting like the other person just kind of figure out what the heck is going on about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like letting them figure out what's happening in this painting. What's this strange marking like on this face, or like, and yeah, more and more I really like not saying so much about what the work's about. You know what I mean? More and more, because I don't even know often.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I'm really just painting these things that I'm kind of intuitively drawn to, and often I can't really explain why.
Exactly. So yeah, this podcast isn't about like explaining, you know, the artist's intentions. Really, it's about just showcasing and just talking about it. You know, and like often you don't know, like it's so personal. Each person will see exactly, you know, will see whatever you see will be amalgamation of your experiences and your influences, you know.
Yeah, and that's why I think this idea of like the collage is important for me, because it's also like it's like less emphasis on like this one image that I'm painting from, and it's like there's a multitude of meanings now, and there's a multitude of like references that are appearing on this thing, and it's like changing more and more as I'm painting it. And so like the process is becoming like a lot more confusing and muddied, I guess in just like a narrative kind of sense, in like a story kind of sense, and then altogether you kind of just get this like, hopefully you get this like weird like feeling, I guess. I don't know if you can like feel something from these works. It's like, it's nice. And like something that's like, I want to make paintings that I like and that I'm drawn to, which is I think what most people do. Like,
of course, yeah.
You
can't, I mean, as an artist, I think you're going down the wrong path if you say, "Ooh, I want to do this kind of thing because I think it will sell," you know?
Yeah.
Or I think other people will be interested in it, you know?
I mean, like Francis Bacon, like back to my I don't
ghosts.
know. Yeah, back to my ghost. Back to the man who's gonna overshadow me my whole life. I don't know, like
break away.
When you look at his paintings, it's just like obviously there's people that can describe why you're drawn to these things. Like there's scholars and stuff who've written about it. I don't really know, but just when I do look at it, just on a real gut level, I really am like shit. Like it really is just so good. And I can look at each detail, each like stroke, and I can like see why the color, like
his stuff.
Like, and I can like analyze it as much as I can, but then like I don't know, it's like there is just something like really like I can't put my finger on, because it's like quite horrific, a lot of the stuff. And I don't know why like I'm so drawn to these things. And I guess similarly I want to make paintings in that same fashion, where I don't really know why I'm making some of these works, but I just am really drawn to them.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, I think you're on the right path then, you know.
Yeah, hopefully. Fuck. I feel like I've
so
said a lot of contradictory stuff.
Yeah, and then obviously like it's all blurred, like, you know.
Yeah.
Cool. So should we do the medium fire round of questions?
Yeah.
So these are ones where they're sort of self-contained, but we can go on tangents if you like. But
sure.
Just sort of.
I do a tangent a lot. Trying to over-explain often.
I tangent as well a lot. So, is this something you would advise young artists to cultivate early? That this can be younger than you, you know?
Maybe like a thick skin. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm also not like, if someone says like they hate my paintings, I'm also like, oh fuck, why?
Yeah.
Like, why do you read? Although people have said, a lot of people do say they don't like my stuff. Because it is, some people do think it's too dark.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. Yeah.
It's not a field of flowers, you know?
But I'm always fine with, I'm always like, yeah, geez. Like if I sleep with these in my room, I often have to like turn them around or something. I don't
Seriously?
Yeah, I don't.
Wow.
Or especially like back in Plate, I would be like, oh,
That's super cool. So yeah, I mean, I as a kid, I grew up with this picture of like a donkey, and it was like, it's like a portrait of a donkey, and it looked like the same sort of vibe of yours, like the same sort of colors. No, it wasn't like deformed or anything at all. It was perfectly happy donkey, I'm pretty sure, but it was like drawn in like a dark sort of dark grays and dark browns and things. It was quite muddied. It wasn't very clear, you know what I mean? And I was like scared of it as a kid, you know.
Oh my god, yeah, no, but stuff staring at you is horrible.
My parents I was like, as a kid, I wasn't going to tell anyone, like I wasn't going to.
Scared of this donkey.
No, I was sort of very self-contained as a kid.
But
you know?
it's horrible. The cupboards are open. I always close them. I actually think I was like a real OCD in Plate. I think I was like undiagnosed or something, because I was like I got very anxious and very like, have to do stuff a very particular way. Like it ended up being like a whole thing when I was younger often. And now I look back, I'm like, Jesus, what was wrong with me?
Yeah. But yeah, so I was scared of that donkey. But looking back on the donkey now, I'm like, that's not scary at all, you know?
Yeah.
My parents were like, oh my gosh, if we knew that you were scared of the donkey, we would have taken it out. But yeah, anyway.
Okay, well, but I would say also as well that
your tangent.
my tangent. I would say
no, me a tangent as well. Like
but I would say also be maybe just more work a lot more than you
thick
would
skin.
think. Yeah, don't focus so much on the idea. Often, just keep on working.
Pitching up every day is also a job requirement.
Pitching up. Yeah, I guess pitching up every day. If you're if you can, if you're lucky enough to. It's good to keep on just doing. Art like every day.
Doing the thing, and even if it's not the most, even if you know it's not going to be the best thing you've ever made, still pitching up and doing it.
Oh no, always do bad stuff is always good stuff.
So who's your favorite artist and why?
I did say Francis Bacon probably this whole podcast, but there's a new guy recently. He's there's a guy called Adrangeni.
Oh, yeah?
I actually did mention him before. But he's just this Romanian guy. Most painters will probably know about him because he's super influential now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, wow, he's also really uses the Bacon kind of aesthetic and has done something really new with it, which is really interesting.
Awesome.
And really thick paint as well, and really you know, sometimes you just see people and you're like, oh my god, and I get really sucked down this whole of this person. I get quite obsessed with them, and
awesome.
Yeah, he's a really, really interesting painter. Just doing new stuff with painting is really, I like to see that happen all the time. Yeah.
Cool. So natural creativity or determination, and what do you think the percentage split is?
Oh shit! I think just determination mostly. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't know. Just keep on doing it. Yeah.
Like 90% perspiration, 10% inspiration, that kind of thing.
People that are I'm an artist because I'm really. It's got this really intuitive kind of. Shut up! It's no. It's I don't know. I often feel it's like anything. It's like a skill. You just gotta, put your head down and work.
So but it's a real thing.
No, I'm sure it is. There are people that are not. Luckily I was drawn to this kind of stuff as a kid, I guess, and being messy, and painting can allow you to be really messy and in a what's the word, in a conducive way. I don't know, in a good way.
But also with lots of other things, like with maths, even some people they aren't sort of that naturally gifted, but they can excel because they are that determined and they pitch up and they do the work,
I mean, maths, there is a right answer in maths, you know what I mean? I mean, maybe there's a science of
No, I'm just talking about
more creative or more...
I'm talking about raw processing power and creative thinking as well. It's the same thing. It's not, I mean, I'm not saying that maths people will be good at painting. I'm just saying there is definitely some people are naturally gifted at maths, and definitely some people are naturally gifted at representing what they see.
Yeah, it's funny, I'm bad at representing stuff. I think accurately. I can't do it. Like I'm getting better and better now, like painting stuff like if I want to, maybe like semi-accurately. I don't know, but like
even so
yeah.
creativity is what you need as well, you know.
Yeah, yeah, definitely like a maybe like a natural like a you need like an intuitiveness, and you must want to know about this kind of stuff. And it definitely helps when you're younger, and it definitely helps like kind of like nurturing environment you have. If your parents like push for that kind of stuff, if they don't, lucky my parents, they always let me kind of do what I wanted to do, what I was drawn to.
So you kind of need both, because
yeah, of course, yeah, you need both, yeah. But I would say if you want to do it like when you get older, and like if you want to do it as a career, it's definitely just about perseverance, mostly, because that natural stuff can only last for like a little bit, and then you get older, and then you put others, and then you put your values and other stuff like family and kids, and I don't know, it's like mostly it's just perseverance, because art, it can be like really like the creative people I meet and stuff like that, you know what I mean? It's like financially they're doing well, but it's also like it's a different kind of lifestyle that you're like you're choosing.
It's not all inspiration. It's not all.
No, it can be like quite like gruff and quite like, I don't know, gruff, but it's like it can be quite like dark sometimes. It can be like shit, like it's not glamorous at all. And like, when you're younger, you always think it's cool, and then when you get older, you're like, fuck, this sucks. Like, wish I didn't have to freak out if I went to the hospital now, and like fucking have to pay for this bill, and like. But if you get older, you're like, thank God I have a stable job. Thank God I have this thing, especially with like health and stuff like that. I think that's a real awakening for a lot of stuff like that. So there's just determination. It's just like, I'm just gonna carry on this thing no matter what. Yeah.
Even if you're, the most creative person, whatever, you still have to get up and come to work and do the thing when you don't feel like
Lucian Freud was doing badly for like a long time, I think. And and Francis Bacon would like help him out with like bills and stuff like that, and give him like wads of cash and stuff if he needed it. And crazy, like so many of those artists, if they weren't lucky enough to carry on doing the thing they were doing, then there wouldn't have been anybody. Like Kentridge, I think, also struggled in the beginning. It's all just, some people, only a very few percent make it big in the beginning. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it really is just, if you're lucky enough to do it, if you're privileged enough to like carry on, and eventually, hopefully it'll work out if you want it enough. I don't know. Sounds kind of like American, like Rocky.
Yeah.
Like, can.
So, if you weren't involved in art, what would you be doing?
Whoa, fuck. I've actually thought about this sometimes. It scares me. I do not know. Shit, maybe film. Probably film. Maybe something in media and advertising. Fuck, actually, I've even thought of trying to. I have a friend who's a painter, and he went into ComSci. He's a coder now.
Hectic.
Just because honestly, the allure, the support of like a steady income is like
it's a
insane.
huge thing.
And as you get older, it's so much more important.
Yeah. And
like a lot of younger artists, a lot of younger people as well, health, that kind of stuff. Like, because I'm really interested in like this
health,
kind of decrepitness and like being old. Yeah.
Like health insurance, you mean?
Yeah, no, even like your own health, like even just like getting older and like your body aches more, and like you're more like, you smoke a cigarette, but it's like, and I drink a lot, but I'm like, fuck, like when I get older, it's gonna bite me in the ass. Like I don't look after my skin properly. I don't like.
Yeah.
I need to, I need to exercise more, eat healthier, like, and like, because I am interested in like all these older figures often, and older people, and like old skin, and just like what I mean, like a thing that really like I have a big fear of is like being older, and like what it's like to just be so alone, like at that last part of your life where like, fuck, like no one really even gives a shit. That, you know what I mean? It's like, what if you're just in an old age home and your kids are like, fuck. Or you just got like this, you can't remember stuff and everything hurts.
Yeah. And
you're just so watery, your skin's so like translucent, and you're just so like, and that's literally like, so many old people. Like in England, there was like a study done of like so much, like over 70, I think, or something like that, were just so alone. And it was so horrible to hear. And I was like, fuck, that's just how we go out. Yeah. Often. Just sad and alone. I was like, and that's why stuff of like, steady income and like having like like a maybe like someone like who you can depend on and support like emotionally are like really important things when you get older.
Yeah.
But when we're younger, like just think about, I guess it's just the thing about being young. I don't know. You don't really think about that kind of stuff because that's just what your parents said, and you're like, whatever.
Yeah, you feel like you're immortal.
Yeah, in some senses. And maybe that's just coming from like kind of a sheltered like upbringing in like Plet, and not really even thinking about that kind of stuff. And I was always, if your life's quite dark and if your life's quite difficult, then you don't really think about the darker stuff that often. But you don't want to fixate on it. But I'd often fixate it when I was a kid because there was be nothing really that wrong. I mean, I was anxious often, and I was like maybe depressed and stuff. But I think if my life was like really hard, I think maybe I have a different perspective. I don't know. But as I got on older as well, like I don't know, like real life also like catches up to you. Like, you know, friends of mine have died, and like,
yeah,
you know, as your parents get older, you're like, oof, and you start to deal with like these realities more and more. And I'm still kind of fixated on these weird dark things. I don't know why, but yeah, there's something about it that really draws me to it. Sorry, what was even the question? I went on such a tangent there.
If you weren't involved in art, what would you be doing?
Oh yeah, fuck. It was all about like job security and like getting old and dying alone.
Yeah.
But it literally, yeah, one of those two probably. One of those three.
Yeah.
Short
Hectic.
answer.
Yeah, I had a lot to say, but I'm not going to. It's a really
huge,
huge tangent. So, what do you think the most telling signs are for the future success of an emerging artist? Like, what can you see in them that will like herald, you know, their emergence? You know. Work ethic.
I actually don't know. I don't honestly like. Short answer, I don't know. But I would say someone with like a.
It's tough. Yeah.
Yeah, with like a strong. Mostly, it's just like a will. I guess it's like more just determination. Like kind of just like. Yeah, quite passionate about it, and just if you're just determined to just want to be an artist, then. Yeah,
like even if they don't become famous, then they still want to do it.
Yeah, and if you can see when they paint, I'm just talking about painting now. But if you can just if they're doing the work just like so often, and you can just see like it's like I don't know, people are drawn to people that are maybe investors like certain people that like are really into the practice and really into the like and want to see that their money, you know, they want to see an investment. They don't want to see someone that's like. No, did art because they thought it was cool, and then they leave, and it's like it's a bit too hard, and it's like
So in tech investing, you know, like investing in startups, like you're much better off with the founder who believes in their tech and like they wanted it to exist in the world, you know, and so they made it, and they'll continue to do it, like even if the company doesn't even if in year 5 the company doesn't like hit the big time, you know, they'll continue to do it because they believe in it, because they really are passionate about the thing. And that's generally the person who's going to spend their Sundays and their Saturdays working for you, you know, if you invest in them, you know. And 10 to 1, these people have had traction. They have traction already. Like they don't come to you and they say, give us money so that we can do the thing. They have done half the thing already, you know, and like they're basically like, cool, you can get on board with your money if you like. You want to help us scale what we have already done. Like those are the best signs for those are the best telling signs for the future success of founders, you know. If you're just jumping on the bandwagon, like they're going to do it whether you invest or not.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Yeah, and also something maybe it relates back to the other question, but it's also like if no one's showing your work, just like start showing your own work, then like put on your own shows. That's actually what an older artist gave me. He gave me advice about that. And fun enough, we started doing that, me and a group of friends. And that's funny enough what got the guys at 99 Loop to come see my work.
Awesome.
They were like, yeah. So it's like,
awesome.
Yeah, it's just, it's like an interesting, you must just, it's like fulfilling the prophecy, I guess.
Yeah,
if you want to have your work shown, then just show your own work. You know what I mean? And
that's super cool. I love that you can track the chronology back, you know?
Yeah. And it was nice to see that.
Okay, so if you could have 3 artists, dead or alive, over for dinner, who would they be?
Probably a bunch of drinkers. I don't know.
So some people say you know, not like ones that would be entertaining rather than ones that would be.
Well, no. I'll give Francis Bacon over.
Yeah, he'd be
probably
entertaining.
Lucian Freud, I don't know. Francis Bacon, Lucian Freud, and oh shit! I once had a dream I met Salvador Dali, and he was a dickhead. He was horrible in my dream. I was like, hey, I like your work. He's like, so does everybody, and I was like, fuck. What the hell?
It's so funny.
Oh
my God.
I guess Salvador Dali. No, Francis Bacon. Yeah, Lucian Freud and.
Yeah, so like, I mean, like for instance, like Basquiat probably wouldn't say much at a dinner party, you know?
Yeah, I wouldn't
Like-
get Andy Warhol. It'd be too weird. I'd be like, oh, either Andy Warhol would be horrible to have at your party.
Do you
as
think?
well.
No.
I don't know. You would just sit there and probably just film you.
Yeah, or something weird, yeah.
Yeah.
And Basquiat would just like not say
I
much,
don't
you know,
what he
like
would say. Shit. And
cool. Okay, well we got 3.
oh, who do we got?
Francis Bacon, Lucian, Freud,
yeah.
and someone else.
No, yeah, no one. I
Oh,
was trying to think.
who's the third one?
Shit, I don't know. Let's just say Salvador. Let's just say Salvador Dali.
It would be
Someone chill.
entertaining. It would be entertaining.
Yeah, I don't want to like Picasso or something. I feel too belittled.
What about like your friend from down the road to back you up because you got like
Yeah,
3
yeah,
famous
there we go. I
artists
got
and
these
you
2
like
guys.
you just got
That'll be funny. Yeah, that'll be weird. It'll be very weird dinner, must say.
Okay, cool. So this round of rapid fire no think yes or no questions.
Okay.
You can't think, you just have to say yes or no. There'll be 1 million people on Mars before we die.
Yes, no.
Work-life balance.
What?
Work-life balance.
Work-life balance.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
As a painter.
Yeah. Yeah. You need the balance.
The Earth is definitely flat.
No.
One day people won't age past their prime.
Oh yeah. What do you mean? Oh fuck! Like they won't grow old. Yeah.
I mean, one day in year 3000. In the year
Maybe.
3000,
Yeah, I'll say that.
people should give up shaking hands forever.
No, I'm a big handshake. Oh well, I shake hands because it's less awkward than hugs often.
Yeah.
Although I shook a guy's hand yesterday, I was like, oh, it's just so awkward because we just did it so weirdly.
Yeah.
I was like, fuck.
Art critics are a valuable and crucial net benefit to society.
Yeah. No one's written anything bad about me, so no one's written anything about me, so I can't say that. I do, and I like reading them, so I'm like, yeah, of course.
Yeah, maybe it'll change one
Yeah.
day.
Let's see.
Awesome. Well, thanks so much for coming on the podcast, eh?
No problem. I hope it is cohesive and yeah.
Don't worry, we'll edit
Okay,
it
good.
down to be cohesive.
I'm gonna listen to this back. I'll be fucking. No, I think I hope. I don't know. I hope I hope to clear this stuff later on. They're toasty.
Toasty, what do you mean?
They're like toasty. I don't know. They're like
That's so weird.
they're like they're like roasted. I don't know. They taste just like it's like
Nah, it's too hectic.
they're not hectic. Like everyone always smokes those Marlboro Blues, or those Marlboro Silvers, whatever. But the Marlboro Gold, it's the one.
Oh, not Marlboro Red, right?
No, I think that shit's hectic.